This is me, 0 pounds to my name and only a fishing rod in my possession. No land, no tractor, nothing. Just a dream to create the best empire Kinlaig has ever seen. But here is where it gets interesting. I am setting a much bigger challenge for myself. I am not allowed to do contracts at all. Why? Because they are quite boring and we already have the starting from $0 series on Riverbend Springs. I don't want to repeat myself. I want to explore completely different ways to earn money in this game. It will be difficult for sure, but hey, that's the whole purpose of the challenge, right? Today's mission? Make our first pounds, find creative ways to earn money outside of contracts until the sun sets, and see just how far we can push ourselves in a single month in game. To start things off, we needed to earn our very first pounds, and there is only one way to start this, and it is really obvious. The fishing rod, of course. Without a tractor or any other vehicle in my possession, I had no other way to get to the ocean except to walk. While walking along the road, I spotted a Highland cattle and was hoping they could help me out to get to town faster. Well, that didn't happen, so I set myself up for the long walk to town. After what felt like forever, I finally made it to the beach where I'd be catching fish. Now, I consider myself one of the best fishermen in Farming Simulator 25. And I knew this spot would be an absolute goldmine. How do I know? Well, I have an entire series where I am building a successful fishing company from scratch in Farming Simulator 25. There are tons of tips about fishing in those episodes, so go check them out if you are interested in learning more about fishing mechanics. But since I have the series dedicated to fishing, I won't be focusing too much on it here. Just know, there are helpful tips there that can teach you how to make as much money as possible with only a fishing rod. Anyway, on the very first cast I managed to catch a fish worth 400 pounds. We were off to a great start. I spent the next hour fishing and grinding and managed to get ourselves up to 22,600 pounds. Now you're probably wondering, why did I stop there? Well, I had a plan. Like I said, I don't want to focus too much on fishing since we are already doing a dedicated fishing series. Here is the plan. With that money in the bank, I went straight to the dealership and negotiated a deal on a rusty old John Deere tractor for 7,500 pounds. While I was there, I also managed to negotiate a flatbed trailer for 6,000 pounds. I jumped into my rusty old tractor, attached the trailer, and barely started moving. This tractor is really old and not powerful at all. And at this stage, I was seriously second guessing myself. Would this even work? Hopefully it would. Now you're probably wondering, what do I need a tractor and trailer for if I can't do contracts? I'll explain in just a second. First, let me get to my destination. After a long, slow drive, I finally made it. And my destination was the coal mine. Why the coal mine? Let me break it down for you. Here is my master plan. You can purchase one pallet of coal for 1,470 pounds and coal is selling for above 1,700 pounds at the selling stations. We are going to flip coal for cash. Buy low, sell high. Simple economics. So I purchased 6 pallets of coal for 8,820 pounds, which left me with only 280 pounds in the bank. This strategy would either make us rich or bankrupt us completely. Let's find out which one. But wait, there is a problem. How are you supposed to load these pallets onto the trailer? The tractor doesn't have a front loader, and I certainly don't have a forklift. Let me show you a little trick, but this stays between us, okay? Down at the port, right next to the fish market, there is a forklift just sitting there. Giant Software put it there presumably so players can load pallets onto boats for shipping. But here is the thing. You can actually take this forklift anywhere you want. And that is exactly what I was going to do. I jumped into that forklift and drove it all the way back to the coal mine. It took a while since the forklift's maximum speed is only 10 miles per hour. But when I finally arrived, I started loading each pallet one by one. And it didn't go to plan at all. I might be one of the best fishermen in Farming Simulator 25, but I am clearly not one of the best forklift operators. On the very first load, I ruined everything. I successfully loaded the first pallet, but when I went for the second one, I managed to knock the first pallet right out of the trailer. Absolutely brilliant work from me there. But by the end of this coal flipping strategy, I figured I'd become a better forklift operator. I hoped I would anyway. After several attempts, I finally loaded all 6 pallets of coal onto the trailer, and it was time to transport them to a selling point. But here comes the really challenging part. This tractor is not powerful at all, so I had serious doubts it would even be able to transport these pallets to the selling point. The weight alone seemed like it would be too much, but I was proven completely wrong. The old rusty tractor had no issues whatsoever holding those 6 pallets of coal. I was genuinely shocked. But hey, I was thankful it could handle the load and that I hadn't spent money on a tractor and a trailer for nothing. I drove to the selling point and sold all 6 pallets of coal for 12,627 pounds. Let's do the math. We bought 6 pallets for 8,820 pounds and sold them for 12,627 pounds. That leaves us with a solid profit of 3,800 pounds from one trip. I wasn't sure how to feel about this. On one hand, it seemed pretty decent. On the other hand, I was thinking bigger. And that's when I got greedy. Since the tractor could pull 6 pallets without any issues, this time I decided to load 12 pallets onto the trailer. Double the load, double the profit, right? And that's exactly what I did. I stacked pallet above pallet, carefully balancing everything. And miraculously, all 12 pallets fit perfectly on the trailer. But the real question was, could the tractor actually pull this massive load? If it couldn't, I honestly wasn't sure what I'd do next. I secured everything with ratchet straps and started the nerve-wracking drive toward the selling point. From the coal mine, following the dirt road back to the asphalt. We got out without any issues, and I started wondering if I was really driving an old rusty tractor or some sort of brand new powerhouse. But I wasn't complaining at all. Just before the selling point there is this really steep hill, and my speed dropped down to only 5 miles per hour. My heart was pounding, but incredibly the tractor wasn't showing any signs of stopping or stalling out. It just kept pulling those 12 pallets of coal without issues. That was really good news. Instead of getting 3,800 pounds profit per load, we were now making 7,550 pounds per trip. We just doubled our efficiency. So I did, load after load after load. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky. And after more than 8 hours of grinding between fishing and flipping coal for cash, we finally reached 100,000 pounds in the bank. Now I wasn't entirely sure what to do with all this money. We'd spent countless hours making it, and yet I had no clear idea of what to do next. I was stuck and needed some time to think and come up with something bigger. While I was thinking about the next move, I went back to my fishing spot and started catching more fish. But I wasn't just fishing for fun or to kill time. I had a plan within a plan. I was selling the 200 pounds and 400 pounds fish for immediate cash. But I was releasing all the 100-pound fish back into the water. Why? Because when you release a certain number of fish, you get a bonus reward from the game. I released 50 fish back into the water and received a 10,000 pound bonus. Pretty decent for essentially throwing fish back, right? While fishing and clearing my mind, I came up with an idea for what to do with the money we'd earned. And a new, even bigger plan. Because those 100,000 pounds, they weren't going to be enough for what I had in mind. I went back to the dealership and negotiated a deal on one more flatbed trailer for 6,000 pounds. Now here is the key detail. These trailers can hook one to another, creating a train of trailers. And you've probably guessed it already. We are going back to coal flipping, but now with 2 trailers hooked together. Now I'm sure we are both thinking the same thing. There's absolutely no way this old rusty tractor can pull 2 fully loaded trailers. It barely managed one trailer with 12 pallets. 2 trailers would be insane. And let me tell you, I was really second guessing my decision here. But I crossed my fingers and hoped my plan would somehow work out. Somehow, and I still don't know how, I got both trailers to the coal mine and started loading. I loaded and loaded and loaded. 24 pallets of coal across 2 trailers. Yeah, you heard that right. 24 pallets of coal. The trailers were absolutely maxed out. I started up the tractor, took a deep breath, and with the full throttle, I attempted to get out of the coal mine and back onto the asphalt road. This was it. Wish me luck. Just when pulling out of the coal mine, the tractor started struggling immediately on the uphill section. And I was thinking, this is it. My plan is over. We're not going to make it. But somehow, against all odds, that old rusty tractor didn't give up. It kept pulling and grinding, and it actually managed to haul those 24 pallets of coal back to the main road. I was just sitting there thinking, what kind of tractor have I bought? This is absolutely insane. But we weren't at the selling point yet. We still had one more steep hill that we needed to conquer. And this is where the tractor really, truly started struggling under the massive weight of this load. At one point, it completely stopped. I thought, this is really it. It can't pull this anymore. We are done. But somehow, inch by inch, it kept pushing forward. And I delivered the first load of 24 pallets to the selling point, where we made a profit of 13,380 pounds. The price had dropped significantly from earlier in the day, but it was still a very decent profit for one run. With more coal flipping runs and some additional fishing session mixed in, I managed to get our total up to 180,000 pounds. We were making serious progress. But then, I got a really big box. I received a massive 75,000 pound bonus from releasing 100 fish back into the water. That's right, 75,000 pounds for conservation. And just like that, we had 255,500 pounds in the bank. Think about that for a second. We started this morning with absolutely nothing. 0 pounds in the bank, only a fishing rod and a dream. And through our hard work, smart strategy, and an old tractor that refused to quit, we reached 255,500 pounds in just 1 month of in-game time. This was my goal for the first episode of starting with 0 pounds on Kinlaig. Now I have a plan for where I'm going to invest this money next. And let me tell you something important. This money won't be sitting in our bank account for much longer. In fact, we are potentially going back to 0 pounds very soon. Let's just hope the investment will be worth it and pay off in the long run. That marks the end of episode 1 of starting with 0 pounds on Kinlaig in Farming Simulator 25. If you enjoyed watching this journey from nothing to 250,000, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you haven't already and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode where you'll see exactly what I'm planning to invest all this money into. YouTube is recommending another video right now. Check it out if you want to see more Farming Simulator 25 content. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.